All right, let's dive right into this explainer and capture the absolute essentials of this book in 8 minutes or less. So if you've ever felt like you're constantly running on a hamster wheel at work, incredibly busy but getting absolutely nowhere, well, you are in exactly the right place today.
We're going to be distilling the core essentials from Hugh Blaine's incredibly powerful framework, and he reveals a truly fascinating insight here. 80% of a leader's success, it's entirely based on their mindset, not their technical skills. Pretty wild, right?
Part 1, the leadership mindset shift.
Okay, before we can actually shift our mindset, we've got to address this systemic problem that's literally plaguing the modern workplace. It's called the JDM virus. That stands for just doing the minimum to survive the day. It's this chronic condition where employees, and honestly, even leaders themselves, are just exerting the bare minimum effort possible while trying to maintain a decent annual review. And here's the real kicker. Employees often suffer from this scarcity mindset because their leaders are carrying the virus first. They're unwilling to undergo the personal transformation that's actually required to inspire their teams. So, why do we fall into that survival trap in the first place? Well, Blaine identifies 6 distinct factors of overwhelm. We're talking about everything from tolerating underperformance to a total lack of awareness regarding our own mindset. These factors basically act as massive heavyweights, dragging our daily potential right down into a reactive, firefighting mode. Now, the solution relies on a surprisingly simple but profound equation. A flourishing business requires flourishing employees plus flourishing customers, which ultimately results in memorable experiences. I mean, think about it. You just can't achieve top-line growth or massive customer satisfaction if your own employees are completely burnt out and unhappy. The entire transformation absolutely has to start with human flourishing.
Moving on to phase 1, the internal shift, purpose and promises. As we get into our first thematic phase, we have to recognize a pretty hard truth. You literally cannot effectively lead others until you undergo a deeply internal mindset shift yourself. It really does start from the inside out. Blaine breaks down your internal purpose into 3 vital dimensions, identifying what you passionately love, what you're distinctively talented at, and the tangible value you create for others. You really have to find the intersection of these 3 things. Ask yourself, what do you have unbridled enthusiasm for, that you execute with incredibly high skill and that genuinely makes other people's lives easier? Let's look at this real-world example from a hospital CEO. It perfectly demonstrates how having a crystal-clear purpose acts like a massive accelerator. It cures that awful feeling of driving in fog. Without a clear purpose, leadership literally feels like driving into a thick fog bank. You just grip the steering wheel, hit the brakes, and hope you survive. But a fiercely focused purpose like this one, that lifts the fog completely. It allows you to confidently press the accelerator. Once that purpose is clear, you've got to establish these 5 non-negotiable promises. This is exactly how you build consistency and truly unshakable leadership credibility. The crucial point to remember here is that balance is absolutely everything. If you're constantly making promises to everyone else without promising anything to yourself, like time to exercise or just recharge, you're just going to become a martyr. But on the flip side, making promises to yourself without considering others is just self-absorbed. All right, let's head into phase 2, external execution, projects and persuasion.
So having an internal purpose means very little if it doesn't actually change how you execute externally. Think of a light bulb for a second. Leadership effectiveness isn't just about the 100-watt internal potential you hold inside your head. It's actually about the 1,600 lumens, the brightness, you project to others out in the world during your daily meetings, your emails, and your everyday conversations. To maximize those lumens and get people to enthusiastically say yes to your transformational projects, you really have to raise your persuasion IQ. And you do this by dropping the corporate jargon and intensely focusing on their priorities, not yours. You've got to stop pushing your own methodology and start thinking much more like a trusted advisor who genuinely wants to solve their specific problems.
Next up, phase 3, sustaining the transformation, praising, perseverance, and preparation.
Maintaining this transformational momentum over the long haul requires serious endurance. Because let's face it, true transformation isn't a one-time event. It's a daily discipline. So a really crucial point in the praising principle is the 1% rule. Basically, detoxifying your negative mindset by just 1% every single day leads to absolutely massive compounding progress over time. Blaine emphasizes that seeking perfection just leads straight to procrastination. But if you seek just a tiny bit of progress every day, that accelerates you toward monumental results. Now, as you persevere, you're inevitably going to face the four I's. These are the natural barriers that are going to try to drag you right back down into that JDTM virus we talked about earlier. Overcoming the seduction of inertia or the heavy negativity of indifference requires massive reserves of grit and determination. You have to ensure these barriers don't end up blocking your best, most innovative work.
And that brings us to preparing for transformation.
Overcoming those barriers definitely requires a proactive plan. And we have to acknowledge that breakdowns almost always precede monumental leadership breakthroughs. You can't just hope for success here. You have to structurally prepare for it. You do that by actively planning your leadership into your daily life using these three key mandates. First, you must wake up to the impact your very presence has on others. Second, you must grow up to take 100% accountability for your results. And finally, you must show up entirely, emotionally, and mentally present rather than just physically occupying a chair. So, I want to leave you with this provocative question to ask yourselves. What part of your leadership needs to be dreamed of differently? Remember, you are not a victim of your schedule or your overwhelm. You have the power to redefine your mindset and truly flourish. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to In 8 Minutes and never miss what matters.